and welcome back to the Business Real Talk. Now, we are here on the final episode of this 4-part series, and I feel like we've been on a whole freaking journey together over the last 3 episodes. And it's more than just a content journey, but a journey of clarity, a journey of deep understanding of your clients, your message, all of it. And let me be honest with you, the number of messages that we've gotten from listeners and watchers saying, oh my gosh, this just makes so much sense. And I've never had anyone talk about marketing in a way that just taps into helping people make decisions. Seriously, I love getting these messages. So please always flood me with them. Let me know what your biggest takeaways are. Now, I want to get into this because this is going to be by far one of the most exciting episodes I ever create. Now, each of the strategies I've laid out for you over these last 3 weeks is an integral part of having an evergreen and inbound demand system, one that fills your DMs, your emails, your calendar with clients who are a hell yes ready to work with you. But the underlying strategy that really makes this system run effectively is understanding your customer's decision-making process. This is the most important part of a sales process. Understanding this means that we know the emotional, rational, and irrational process that your customer goes through to make a purchase. It's also what 99% of business owners and marketers and gurus out there just don't take the time to understand. It only creates a longer sales cycle, more frustration, and feeling like you're chasing down leads. Now, the companies and businesses that figure this out are the most effective, and they end up being companies and businesses that you and I have heard of. One of the most successful at what I'm about to share with you is Amazon. Hate them or love them, or most likely you hate them, but you still use them. They're the best at the best of understanding their clients' customer buying habits. And one thing they know is that friction kills sales. Now, we all know who Jeff Bezos is, but one of the lead Amazon employees who developed a lot of the strategies that Amazon uses to eliminate friction in the buying process is Kinten Brambot. Now, he shares a story where on his 10th birthday, he stayed up till midnight so excited so he could open his present. Now, he was the most excited about this present. He opened it up and it was exactly what he wanted, a remote control car. Now, he took the car out of the box, he put it on the ground, he turned it on, and he hit the drive button. And nothing happened. So he investigated, he discovered what it was, and he realized that there weren't any batteries. At that time of night and in that part of the country, that time during a decade, there was no place to buy batteries. So the toy had to sit there unused until the next morning. As Kinten explains, this was his first introduction to what he calls customer friction for him. Now, customer friction is anything that gets in the way of a customer buying and then actually using the product or service. In case you're not aware, this is one of Amazon's most obsessive things to reflect upon. For example, think about that genius behind the buy now button. If you see something you want, then you could just swipe right and boom, you've purchased the product. Think about how much that increased their conversion as opposed to having it add to cart, confirm the cart, go confirm your payment, confirm the address, confirm delivery date, and then eventually, if you're lucky, you get to the checkout page. That's friction. That is what Amazon obsesses over, making it as easy as possible for people to say yes. Big tech companies like Amazon and Kinten, they understand that the decision-making journey that their customers must go on before they make a purchase. And then they obsess over how they can eliminate all friction points in that customer journey. Now, most of us are struggling to take it to the next level in our business because we're failing to mimic our customers' decision-making process. Now, friction in a coaching or course creator business isn't usually going to be around whether or not you have a swipe right, click once buying button. That friction comes up when you force your potential customer to think too hard about whether or not your product or service is the right fit for them. Now, most of us feel like we're trying to convince our customers every step of the way to buy from us, rather than creating experiences where they're able to arrive at the conclusion easily for themselves that you were the exact person they were looking for, effectively getting your leads to sell themselves. Now, when you hear me talk about people arriving to sales calls pre-sold, that's what I mean. They've made up their mind. The decision is already set. The sales call becomes a formality. It's like people who go camping overnight wanting to buy the newest iPhone release. Now, as an Android user, I think this is nuts and I don't understand it, but I do have to give credit where credit is due. Apple was able to create an experience, inbound demand, where they didn't have to convince people to buy their phones and to look forward to that experience of camping and showing up and getting that phone. That's the strategy. If you're a consultant, you're a coach, you're a course creator, or service-based business, then friction is going to look different for us as opposed to those major e-commerce companies. Now, friction for us isn't about the super simple checkout page, especially if your service requires a contract or if you are selecting who works with you. Instead, we add friction to our process whenever we make our clients have to think too hard or compare. Now, what I mean by this is that we force them to ask themselves, all right, this is exciting, but there's just something that feels like it's missing for me to be able to say yes. These types of pauses are friction. Objections are friction. Can I see some testimonials or case studies? Is friction. Hey, I just need a little more time. I'm not sure right now is the right time. Is friction. I just need to talk to my partner real quick. Is friction. So how do you eliminate this friction? Now, I support my clients in using what I call my inbound demand system. And it's essentially broken down into two parts. Number one is what we call mimicked decision-making. And number two is what we call the one-touch content system. So let me break each of these down for you, starting with the mimicked decision-making process. Now, mimicked decision-making is a strategy that recognizes that every single person goes through a series of questions in their brain to make sure that they're in a safe place to make a decision. It uses human behavior, human psychology, and really looks at how people naturally make decisions. And what we want to be able to do is take that process and mimic it in our marketing and sales system so that we can strategically answer those questions and they can sell themselves. Now, the second part of that puzzle is the one-touch content system. That's the application of the mimic decision-making process. It allows us to take that mimic decision-making process, that big idea, and actually apply it to our content and marketing so that it happens every single step of the way and creates an actionable and repeatable plan that you can leverage every single week in your marketing and content process. So I'm going to run through the 5 quick questions that any person goes through when it comes to making a decision. The first thing is they recognize they have a need. The second thing is I'm going to go look for a solution. The third thing is, how does this solution compare? The fourth thing is, will this solution actually work for me? The fifth question is, how do I actually get this solution? Now, in using these 5 questions, we can go from pushing people every single step of the way to them leading themselves to a decision, AKA selling themselves. Now, I want you to think back to the demand angles episode that was just 2 weeks ago. If you remember, I talked about how I use demand angles in my real life to get my kids excited to go to a birthday party. Now, I could absolutely just yell at them, you're going no matter what, and then force them into the car and force them to stay at the party all day long. But I'd probably be bothered by all the whining that came out of them. But pushing people through a process is exhausting for everyone. And as their mom, I understand the decision-making process that they're going to use when it comes to going to the party or not. And then I use demand angles and visual statements, and I get them excited about it all on their own. So instead of them yelling at me, I don't want to go, they're asking me, when's the party? Are we ready to go? Now, here's an important thing to keep in mind. You know when a sales process isn't doing this. You can feel the pushiness. You can feel when someone's just trying to get to a close. But when someone's using a sales process that mimics your natural decision-making, you don't even feel it. Instead, you feel relieved and grateful to have finally found exactly what you've been looking for. In other words, you don't need any convincing at all. And the majority of the calls I get on with potential clients leads in them saying, I just want to learn how you did that because I couldn't wait to say yes fast enough. Now, it reminds me of any time I go into an ice cream shop. First, I select my ice cream, usually something with some peanut butter and chocolate. And when they say, do you want fudge? It's always a hell yes. Do you want sprinkles? Ah, yeah, for sure. Do you want it in a waffle cone? Please, thank you. What about some caramel? Do you want that too? In for a penny, in for a pound, add it on there. Okay, great. What about some chocolate chips? sprinkles, caramel, fudge. Ugh, your guess, how could I not add those chocolate chips? And by the time they've given me my ice cream, I'm so hyped to eat this thing. Of course, when they ring me up and my $2.50 ice cream is now $10 because each of those add ons, I don't care. I don't feel tricked. I don't feel upsold or pushed into spending more money. I'm holding in my hand something I am hyped and grateful for. It feels like a gift I was given, and it's extra money that was well spent, damn it. Now, instead of feeling resistance, I feel excitement and enthusiasm. This is the same process I apply to my premium clients going through my sales process. By using mimic decision making, my clients experience my sales process in the same way I experience buying ice cream. Now, pitching our highest ticket product creates the same excitement as, yeah, I want extra sprinkles, because I use a process that leaves my clients without hesitations, without fears, just confident and empowerment and feeling like it's easy and natural, hence the easy yes. Now, the mimic decision-making process is a game-changing strategy, but what really makes it work is when we create a system and a process to implement and distribute it. That's where the one-touch content system comes into play. The one-touch content system makes this big idea the macro, AKA client pathway, and it breaks it down into this micro decision-making process through your weekly content so that you can help your audience make micro and specific decisions through your content. This works so well because number one, we use the demand angle to find each individual personality, that person's trigger points. Everyone's is different, and what matters to you may not always matter to them. Then we use the decision hierarchy of mimic decision making to make our content take them on a decision making journey. Now, it looks a little something like this. First, we plant a seed, give them that idea. Then we create what I call a micro belief shift that positions the solution, AKA you can position your weekly value drop and episode as the knight in shining armor that saves the day. Then you give them the value drop, this full picture belief shift that really incorporates applied visualization and how it can work for them. And last but not least, we button it all up with an opportunity for people to raise their hands, to say yes, please, so we can move them to the next step in the process. Now, the last and final piece that really brings this all together is the distribution of the content. Now, the one-touch content system not only helps you take the decision hierarchy process and put it into a tangible content system that allows you to easily create content that speaks to and leverages how people make decisions, but it also shares how to distribute that content, because you do need to have this amazing content, but you also need to know how to get more eyeballs on your content and, more importantly, move people to action. So it applies all of these pieces together. Every step in the process has mimic decision making and human behavior baked into it. Decisions happen naturally, and your clients feel total ownership and autonomy over their decision-making process. There's no buyer's remorse or feeling like you're tricked or pushed into making a decision. It's a big hell yes, and it's the big reason that there's no tricks or unethical tactics involved. Your clients are looking for the innovative solution that you offer. Your business was created to uniquely solve a problem that only you can solve. And mimic decision making combines that with the one-touch content system to create a pathway for your clients to, on their own, recognize that you are exactly what they've been looking for. And instead of forcing them or pushing them, they come to that realization all on their own, effectively selling themselves. And you provide a perfectly curated process that answers each decision-making question they have step by step, making them feel like it's an easy yes. Now, over the last 4 weeks, we've worked together to create a strategy to speak about the system and a process that creates that easy yes. And it turns those cold leads into hell yes clients that sell themselves. And the first step is to get off that content creation hamster wheel that leaves you burnt out without any sales to show for all of that energy. Instead, we want to start with a strategy and a system that puts it all into a repeatable system that works on autopilot. Now, the next step in that is creating those demand angles. This allows you to create different perspectives and entry points that your audience can use to access your innovative solution. Next, we recognize that as a potential client, they must be able to visualize, feel it in their bones, that success that they're going to have using your innovative solutions, using what we call visual statements. And once they can see themselves in that detailed experience, that success they've always wanted, then they're on your freeway to an easy yes. And what turns that great start into a perfect finish is the mimic decision-making process combined with our one-touch content system to effectively create an inbound demand system. This is the process that answers the 5 essential questions that every customer must have an answer to before they're going to make a purchase. Now, the mimic decision-making process combined with that one-touch content system answers each and every single one of those questions in an experiential way where your clients naturally arrive at the conclusion that you are the only solution to their problems, and most importantly, the one they've been waiting for. Now, these 4 episodes combined are the exact process my clients have used to create incredible results like booking 8 calls in a matter of 48 hours, quadrupling their sales and hitting a 60K sales month, or taking the afternoon off to chase their kids around the yard and coach their cheer team. The truth is, when you have an inbound demand system, life gets easier. Getting clients becomes easier. Your business becomes a well-oiled machine, and you're not constantly reinventing yourself and your marketing every 3 months when the hottest trend in marketing stops working. And this system has changed the game for so many lives of my clients, like Courtney, who can show up and share just 2 to 3 pieces of content per week and have her offerings at full capacity, or how Anna was able to leverage the system and booked 24K in revenue in the first 21 days of working together, or Marissa, who was able to sign 5 new clients in 1 week using this system. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to listen to this. I want you to be able to walk away and say to yourself, I want this. I am ready for more. I want inbound demand. I want clients coming to me. I want the capacity and ability to change lives on a bigger scale. And if that's you, I have 2 calls to action for you here today. The first and foremost is if you're still not sure, you're still feeling a little bit like you're not quite there yet, go check out what I call my bingeable authority system. That's my mini series. And you can go to easyesleads.com and you will literally be able to go through this in more detail. But if you're somebody who's sitting on the other side of this podcast, on this video, and you're shaking your head and you're saying, oh my gosh, Naz, I want this. I want to be able to create inbound demand. I want to have clients shouting my names from the rooftop. I want people saying, you have been the solution I've always dreamt of, and I can't wait to get started with you. Then I want to invite you to take that active next step, just like 416 plus of my clients have been able to do before you. I want to invite you to what I call a business blueprint call. You're going to go to easyesleads.com/call, and I will literally be jumping on a call personally with you, and we will be looking at your client acquisition. We'll identify where the biggest gaps and, more importantly, where the biggest opportunities for optimization are so that you can develop a system, a process, a repeatable way to bring in clients who are hell yes, that sell themselves without you pressuring them every step of the way, so that your marketing becomes something that feels easy and good, and you have clients saying easy yeses to you. I want to invite you to that call. So again, remember, go over to easyesleads.com/call, book that call. You and I will chat. And if I feel like it's a good fit, if I see the opportunity for where I can support you, and only if that, I will invite you to the next step and share with you how you can work in one of my 3 containers, either in my group program, my high touch group mastermind program, or working one-on-one individually with me. So again, go ahead, visit that. You can check out the show notes, or again, go to easyesleads.com/call to book your call. But until next time, you're not going to want to miss the next 4 weeks that we have for you, where we're going to start a whole new series of episodes designed to take this foundation, this marketing, this inbound demand to the total next level. And until next time, here's to keeping it real.